Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Speakers and Leaders Hour. I'm Dave Wilkins, your host, and this is the program that comes into your homes once a month on the first Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. We are live here in the Allen County Public Library, and it's one of the few live shows that you really can see. Maybe newscasts, sporting events, and political conventions are always live. But this is one of the few things that is just done by regular people. And we who are here tonight are all part of Toastmasters. And if you want to call in a little later on, that number is 422-3902. I'm here with some members of the Advanced Speakers and Leaders Toastmaster Club. That's a specialized club here in Fort Wayne where you have to be a member of yet another club as well as having completed the 10 speeches in your basic manual to even be considered as a member. But these people are from all over Fort Wayne. They are the leadership of Toastmasters, and I am pleased to begin introducing them at this time. On my far right, your left on the corner, is Mr. Dan Westrick. Dan, thank you for being here tonight. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Dave.
Next to Dan is Marlene Purdy, and Marlene is a past district governor in District 28 over in Ohio, and she served here in Indiana in Division B as a Division B governor a couple of years, a Division A governor, and she's just an all-around very, very busy Toastmaster lady. Now, on the other side of the table, very close to me here, is Mr. Tom Haller. Tom, thank you for being here tonight. Tom is a multiple number DTM. He is also a past area governor here in Toastmaster land and an all-around good guy and a friend of mine from our parliamentary club as well as the Toastmasters Club. Next to Tom is Patricia Canavi. She is a past Division B governor and also, you did that 2 years, I believe, a couple of years as area governor,
Yes.
and currently serves as the fall conference chair, which, by the way, will be here in Fort Wayne, Indiana in the first week of November. And last but not least is our newest leader here in Division B, our newly minted Division B director, and that is Adrian Maurer. Adrian has been, this is, I think, your first time here on the TV program, is it not? Maybe twice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, she's back tonight, and she's going to be giving us a speech. And tonight should be a very entertaining evening. We're going to go about the whole process of doing a Toastmaster meeting. That is to say, we'll have speeches, we'll have evaluations, and then we'll have table topics. That's what makes Toastmasters so really special. You know, it's not a class. You can't pass or fail. What it is where a group of people get together, you practice giving your presentations one to another, and then you get feedback. And it's that feedback that allows you to grow and become a very more accomplished Toastmaster. Well, let's dive right into the presentations. Our first presenter tonight is going to be Marlene Purdy. And Marlene is speaking out of the basic manual, project number 4, and that is saying what you mean by using vocal variety and exact words. So here she is tonight with the speech entitled, "Do You Have What It Takes?" Please welcome Marlene.
Thank you, Dave, and welcome to everyone out there in TV land. And talking about TV, recently I had I'm not sure I would call it a privilege, but I was able to watch the Republican presidential debates. And it brought to mind the importance of communication. It also reminded me back to 1960, I believe it was, and there was one debate between, at that time, it was candidates for president, John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon. And again, it pointed out the importance of communication and communication skills. We all get in situations once in a while where we have something to say, but does it really come across the way we want it to? And I felt in the debate that some of the debaters did not present their views as strongly as others. And then there is a case of, you've heard about it before, somebody complains at work, they have this terrific idea. They present it to the company, and it falls on deaf ears. And about 2 weeks later, somebody comes along and presents exactly the same idea, and it's welcomed as if the best thing since hot apple pie. Now, why did it come across so well for the one person, and it fell on deaf ears when the first person presented it? It all goes back to communication and how well we communicate what we have to say. Today, in this business world, many people applying for jobs apply before a committee of interviewers. Some people have excellent, appropriate skills for the job, but they get before these people for the interview and they fall flat on their face. Again, communication skills. Or, it was in the paper just recently about this couple who had been communicating via Skype and all these different means, texting and sending emails, and when they met in person, they could not connect at all. Again, communication skills. And why do I talk about communication skills? Well, guess what Toastmasters is all about? It's about helping people develop their communication and leadership skills. And I'm going to talk about the leadership portion in a little bit. You may have heard about Toastmasters being about giving speeches. Well, yes, we give speeches, but mostly to help us develop our organizational skills so we can put our thoughts together and communicate more effectively. In fact, in Toastmasters, we talk about communicating not only through a full speech, but through mini speeches, known as table topics. In fact, table topics were the main reason I joined Toastmasters. Many years ago, I was president of the Board of Education in Bowling Green, Ohio. And after the meeting, it was not at all unusual for the local radio announcer to come up, stick a microphone in my face, and ask me questions about the meeting. I would be driving to work the next day and turn on the radio and listen to my interview, and it was not pretty at all. And I knew I needed help. I saw the article in the paper about Toastmasters, so I joined. And it helped me develop my communication skills. It helped me learn to think very quickly. You've all heard the expression, you never get a chance to make you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And that is so true. Whether you're in a job interview, you're trying to pitch your idea to the company, you're in a presidential debate, and I don't think probably anybody out in TV land that's listening to us tonight is going to be a potential presidential candidate, but who knows? You never know. But it also goes to the idea of you're going to meet your girlfriend's family for the first time. Or you really like this guy and you're going someplace and you're going to see him. You need to have those skills to be able to think on your feet and make a good impression that first time. But that is only one part of Toastmasters. Remember I said communication and leadership skills? How do you teach leadership skills? Well, through Toastmasters, we do it by offering different things during the meeting so that you can practice delegation skills, you can practice putting together committees, all different kinds of portions of the meeting or the club or organization so that you can actually develop those skills as a leader as well as a speaker. So I guess the bottom line is, where do you want to go? Do you have what it takes to be a competent communicator and a competent leader? I think many of you out there sometimes sell yourself short. Why don't you come and join us sometime and let us help you develop those necessary skills.
Okay. Did you want to invite people to your club?
Oh, I would love to. Actually, I belong to the Bob Lyman Toastmasters Club here in Fort Wayne, and it meets on the 2nd and 4th Mondays, 6:30 North Crest Pizza Hut, just off Coliseum Boulevard. And if anybody has television over in the Defiance area, I also belong to the Defiance Simply Speaking Club, and they meet on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays at 5:30. So, and they meet at the City Council Chambers in the City Building and I'm not even sure what street that's on. But if you know where the city building is, it's in the city council chambers. We sit around the table with the council members' names in front of us when we're meeting. So anyway, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Marlene. Good presentation. When you were talking there about the former debates from years ago, like the one there with President Nixon and then Kennedy, that was a horrible debate. And one man was certainly not prepared, and of course that was Nixon. And he sweat, and he was looked down, and he stumbled over his words. And of course Kennedy was really good looking, and he had all of his facts right at his hand. So they said that he was the first candidate that used the television medium, even as I think it was Hoover that used the radio many years before. So now we have all this immediate media information for people to use, like Facebook and all of that stuff. And the man that's using that to the greatest effect is now Donald Trump. And they're saying he has bypassed television. He has gone right to the people. And in a way, he does have certainly a grassroots campaign going. We're not political. We're not political, folks. I'm just talking about the skills that he's using right now. In any case, our next speaker is going to be giving us a presentation from the basic manual. It's project number 10, which is to inspire your audience. Now, Adrienne joined Toastmasters in '99. She joined the Wall Street Speakeasy Club. And of course, she's president now of the Advanced Speakers and Leaders, as well as being Division B's newest and first and only director. So with her speech entitled, Move Out of Your Comfort Zone, let's welcome Adrienne Nahler.
Thank you, Dave. Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, move out of your comfort zone. Try something new. Expand your horizons. Why would you want to move out of your comfort zone? Your comfort zone is where you're comfortable. I like being in my comfort zone. I am the epitome of the comfort zone because I'm a middle child. I have an older sister and a younger brother. I live in the middle. The older sister is the one who has to blaze the new trails. She's the one who has to figure out where all the rooms are when you go to high school. When I went to the same high school, I didn't have to figure out where the building was. I didn't have to figure out where the rooms were, make my way around. All I had to do was ask her. I had to say please, of course, and maybe do her chores for a few days. But it was something that I was comfortable with, right there in the middle. Eventually, I realized, though, that being in the middle, being in your comfort zone, means that you don't grow. And you have to have some way to get out of that comfort zone, to expand your horizons, and to become a better person. There were two events in my life, two significant events that make me the person that I am today. The first event occurred in the 80s with my first job. I was working for a small software company, and we had a client, happened to be in Paris, France. I got assigned to that company in Paris. I was going to Paris on a plane. I was so excited about this big trip to Paris. I would see the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. I would sample French cuisine. All of these things I would do while I was there. And then reality set in. I was going to Paris alone. I had only ever been on a plane once before, when I was younger, and it was with my sister. I was going to have to do this by myself. I would have to get on a plane, make my way to Chicago, find my way into the airport, find my luggage, hail a taxi in a country where I did not speak the language. I was also representing my company. When I went to the bank and did the work, I had to do it correctly. I didn't want to make any mistakes because, again, I'm representing my company. This client is paying my company for my services. I put an immense amount of pressure on myself to be as professional as I could possibly be for this big trip. To top it all off, not only did I have all this other pressure on me, but I decided I'm representing America in France. Anytime someone from another country goes to France or another country, they're representing their home country. Yet another stressor piled on top of me. The day of my trip, I was so gripped with fear that the first leg of the trip from Fort Wayne to Chicago, I cried the entire time. I was beside myself. Eventually, I pulled myself together, made my way to France, hailed a taxi. Another stressor, did I have enough money? Yes, I had enough money. When I got to the bank the next day, I found that everybody speaks English. I never had to worry about being understood. The week went really well. I never got lost in the city. I found my way to restaurants. All the work was done properly. And by the end of the week, they were so pleased with my work that they asked me to come back. There were actually several more trips that I made to Paris because of this one trip. It expanded my horizons, whether I wanted to or not. If you can imagine what life would be like for me if I had told my boss, no, I don't think I can do this trip. I'm not ready to take on that kind of responsibility going to another country. Most likely he would have found someone else, and I would have been out the door. It was a huge responsibility for me to do this trip, but I knew if I didn't do the trip, I would never grow. It was something that I will never forget. The second major event in my life happened about 10 years after that. I had just been promoted with my job, and I was in a role where I was responsible for meeting with lots of individuals from my company, one-on-one, occasionally, in large groups. I was also now responsible for training, and I would be training 50 to 100 people at a time. I was not all that good at speaking in front of others. Even the one-on-one was a little uncomfortable for me. I grew up rather shy and was not very good about maintaining eye contact. I was a terrible listener. When someone would be telling me about their issues and concerns that I was supposed to address, before they were even finished with the conversation, the wheels were spinning. I was thinking about how would I solve their problem. I wasn't listening. Those were skills that I had never developed. One day, a coworker happened to be near me. I was talking about one of my issues, and he told me about a group that was coming to my company to do a demonstration. It was a club that he belonged to called Toastmasters. And Toastmasters was an organization that helps people become confident speakers. Oh, confident speakers. I need that. I went to that first meeting and found that it was full of people just like me. They weren't professional. They were people who wanted to improve themselves. I stayed with the club through my first speech. And the first speech for me was what I thought was the worst speech on the planet. I couldn't imagine anyone doing it worse. But when I finished my speech and was given the evaluation, I found out that I had skills. There were things that I did that were done well, which surprised me. Because of that encouragement that I received at that first Toastmasters meeting and after my first speech, I continued to go to the meetings, and I've been with that club ever since. Because I forced myself to go to that meeting and forced myself to join the club, I was now able to carry on conversations with people in my business and become much more effective in my current job. I don't think I would be where I am today if it weren't for Toastmasters and my experiences with my club. I've taken on a number of leadership positions, both in my company and out in the community, none of which would have happened without Toastmasters. The experiences that I've had with my first business trip and later with my Toastmasters organization have made me the person that I am today, has given me the confidence to take on any obstacle and any challenge. I recently found a quote from an actor that I think sums up a lot of what people think about when they're attempting to try something new. It's from actor Hugh Laurie. He says, "It's a terrible thing, I think, in life to wait until you're ready. I have this feeling that actually no one is ever ready to do anything. There is no such thing as ready. There is only now. When you want to move out of your comfort zone, don't wait until you're ready. Do it now." Mr. Toastmaster. You want me to mention my club?
Pardon?
Do you want me to mention my club?
You sure can.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I would like to invite you all to come to my home club. I'm with the Wall Street Speakeasy. We meet the second and fourth Fridays of each month at noon at First Presbyterian Church downtown. We are quite a diverse group. We have a mixture of seasoned Toastmasters, brand new people, everything in between. And we have a lot of fun. Please come and visit.
Thank you again, Adrian. What an awesome testimonial for Toastmasters. As you were speaking, I was thinking back over my Toastmaster career and some of the moments that really changed my life. And one of those was meeting a man named Bob Lyman. And Bob Lyman is the one that is responsible for me being a part of this TV show, being a part of the parliamentary world, and advancing in Toastmasters. Well, we have one more speaker tonight, and tonight he is going to be giving a speech that's part of a contest that's coming up very soon. So rather than giving you a full-blown Toastmaster introduction, he is going to get the same introduction he is going to get at the contest. With that said, Daniel Westrick. Screw the bleepin' bleeps. Screw the bleepin' bleeps, Daniel Westrick.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most distinguished guests, and to our viewers out there in Allen County, Fort Wayne, and all across Northeast Indiana. Just wondering if anybody got a chance to watch the VMAs over the weekend. I didn't either. But on the entertainment shows like E.T., Access Hollywood, The Insider, they played clips of Miley Cyrus, the host, and Nicki Minaj. And in some cases, you probably heard this sound effect. Now, I am not advocating for the F-bombs and the other 7 words you can't say on television, although there's 3 you can't say on cable. Why do we have the bleep? I mean, it comes from the emergency broadcast system back in the 60s and the 70s, where it had like that constant tone beep, just to warn you about an incoming tornado? No, folks. Like the wrestling team of New Day, in their effort to save a table from the Dudley Boys, because they're famous for basically taking a wrestler and putting him through one of these tables, I say we save the bleep. The bleep is done. Start using other sound effects. Like that episode of SpongeBob SquarePants, where basically we see SpongeBob and Patrick going over to the dumpster and they see the words and we hear this sound effect. Yes, and Patrick, that is not a sentence modifier. Now, Jerry Springer. If any of you watch that, there's a lot of cursing, and sometimes you'll probably get this along with. But would it be more interesting if they went with to signal fight than maybe to go something like, wait a minute, hang on. Danbert Rule, Title 5, Section 16, Subsection 20, Line 15. If Danbert plays the sound effect of Twisted Sister's I Wanna Rock from a 2005 Avis commercial, then by rule, Danbert must play a video of 2008 Olympic gymnastess Alicia Sacramone punching out a frat guy. Yeah, just one of my rules, but that's just an interesting way of using sound effects. You know, other than just the boring little bleep. I mean, would it be interesting if we watched the Maury show and basically they would come on and as they're about ready to drop a bad word, we hear this? Nope. Can't play that video again. Sorry, I meant this. Yeah. So maybe in the process, if we want to actually shame these people for using the 7 words you can't say on television or the 3 words you can't say on cable, then maybe it's time we drop the bleeps and start using other sound effects like the people do on Mythbusters. Yeah, you see Adam and Jamie doing experiments, but anytime they fail, oh yeah, there would be a lot of cussing, but sometimes they would have interesting sound effects like this. Or maybe something like, or my favorite one, yeah, so folks, while I'm not advocating tonight to the audience or to anyone at home to let the F-bombs fly, I say we screw the bleeping bleeps altogether and instead go with various sound effects and therefore shame the people and knowing that cussing is not a good thing. Thank you so very much. And if you are interested in joining Toastmasters like Marlene, I'm also a member of the Bob Lyman Toastmasters Club. I'm the Sergeant Arms. We meet at the North Crest Pizza every second and fourth Monday of the month from 6:30 to 8. If you usually get there before 6, you'll usually see me and my wife along with other various members. So I thank you so very much for this floor tonight, and Mr. Toastmaster, thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Dan. Quite interesting. And we will hear from our evaluators in just a few moments. But first, one of the parts of the topics of the Toastmasters meeting that everybody really says helps them grow a lot is indeed the topic session. And tonight, our topic master is Mr. Tom Haller. Tom, please.
Oh, Mr. Toastmaster, I'm not sure I've recovered from all that bleeping yet. But we will forge ahead as best we can. Now, when I was in school, which I will admit was a very, very long time ago, we started school after Labor Day. That's what Labor Day was for. It might have been a celebration of the working man, but basically it was to let us know it was time to go to school. And I think we should have somebody who's of a similar age express his opinion on starting school in the middle of August. I mean, they're already back to school. What do you think about that, Mr. Wilkins?
Well, Mr. Topic Master, ladies and gentlemen, those folks at home, I don't know when it changed. I mean, when I graduated from high school, as you well pointed out, school stopped at the beginning of June and did not start until definitely after Labor Day, because that was the last time you went to the lake, got the boat in the water, did all that good stuff. But somewhere along the line, school began starting earlier in the fall, and I don't understand why. Of course, snow days were unheard of. You know, I don't care how deep it was. I remember walking to school one time uphill both ways when it was a foot deep. So things have changed, Mr. Topic Master. I don't know when.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. Now, we have all manner of controversy relative to our schools here in Fort Wayne. They're no longer busing many of the people that they used to bus. So let us invite our inveterate bicyclist to tell us what she thinks of that. Adrian, what do you think of people walking everywhere?
Thank you, Mr. Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, audience at home. When I was growing up, we lived 2 blocks away from my elementary school, and I walked in the snow. I think I was in the same snowstorm that Dave was in, uphill both ways. We walked to school. When I was in junior high, it was too far, technically, for me to walk, but I would have been very happy to ride my bicycle. That was not an option. The 2-mile radius that the school system has deemed to be no longer available for bus has been the radius for a very long time. It just wasn't enforced. And I think 2 miles is not that bad, especially for the nice days that we've been having with our school children. It's wonderful for them to be out and walking. And it would be wonderful to see these kids out on a bicycle. A bicycle for 2 miles is not very far. Stick the backpack on your back, put some saddlebags on your bike, a basket out front. You are good to go. And I think it would be a really easy thing for those kids to ride their bikes and get a little exercise. Mr. Topic Master.
All right. Well, in some ways, it's a shame the way things change. My father, he drove to school when he was in junior high. They didn't have ages for people to drive back then. So he got the Overland out, and at about 12, well, he would simply drive the 1.5 miles to school. I didn't have that privilege. I had to walk. But most of the time, the bus took me. I just walked for fun. My older brother, they refused to take him. It upset him so much, he went to a parochial school for a while. That upset him so much, he went back to the public school. All right. Well, one among us, you probably couldn't tell from what you've seen of her so far, has her safari suit on. I am curious to know where she is going to safari to. Help me welcome Patricia Kanabe. Are you off somewhere special?
Thank you, Master Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests at home. After the meeting tonight and after the show, I am going to safari home. That is as far as I am going. It's just that simple. I don't have any plans to go out back, down under, or even to the back 40. I am going to just head home, where I will continue my work and my diligence on my job until about 10 o'clock tonight. Master Table Topics Master.
All right. Do you want me to do any more? Are we out of time? Okay. Well, now Patricia earns her living, and the reason she can work so late is because she does it from home, and she works with students who are going through college by way of the internet. That's a privilege that we didn't have when I was in school. I was wondering how that might work at a younger age. Is there any real reason why you couldn't do that in high school and elementary school? Then you wouldn't have to walk anywhere. You wouldn't have to get beaten up by the bullies unless they lived at home with you. That was Dan, why don't you come up and tell us what you think of this idea?
Well, thank you, Mr. Tabletop Master. It's a very interesting concept of doing at-home learning, either via your computer or a tablet, or even what I just had tonight, a smartphone. And that is more in line with what happened last year or 2 years ago when we had that snowstorm. Students in southwest Allen County decided to go with e-learning. And that has a potential of being a really good thing. You can get centralized learning there, and if you have any questions, you can shoot one at the teacher. So that is a great use of technology, just in case if there's like 3 feet of snow again and we can't get even the CityLink buses to work. Well, that's something we would have to do. Mr. Tabletop Master.
We have one person who has not spoken to us in this particular capacity tonight. I have shown her a little mercy because she is extremely overtired by her own comments, but what the heck, let's pick on her anyway. Choosing any of the above topics, or if you even want to, one of your very own you've made up. Marlene Purdy, tell us what you would have us know.
Being a former educator, retired, I took interest in your question about the length of the school year and why it has expanded. I can see actually 3 reasons. Number one, we have a lot more requirements that we didn't have when I was in school regarding testing, which I think is overdone. And so we have to allow time for that. Number 2, we do have the snow days, and believe it or not, Dave, I did have snow days. I was one of the country kids that went to our small rural school, and so we did have snow days. I remember one day the bus pulled up in front of the house, and the driver only stopped long enough to tell us he wouldn't pick us up because he was going to take the kids back home because the snow was so bad. He was afraid if he didn't take them home then he wouldn't get them home. And I was so upset because it was the day before our Christmas break, and I missed out on our class exchange. And number 2, they have a lot more vacations during the school year now that we didn't have. When I went to school, we started after Labor Day, and then we ended up the end of May. And so we didn't go that long, but we didn't have any breaks either. We had Christmas break, and we had 2 days off for Thanksgiving, and maybe 3 days off at Easter, and that was it. So I understand kind of why the days are expanded like that, but it's because of necessity that we go longer now. Mr. Thomas.
Well, here I thought maybe it was simply because there was so much more history now than when I was in school. It just took longer to study. I would like to encourage anyone who would be interested to come to the Anthony Wayne Toastmasters. We meet at Ivy Tech, room 1362, every Thursday evening at 6:30. Pretty much all the evening Toastmaster events take place at 6:30. We are in urgent need of 2 people to join us yet. That would make our full 8. Now, we could have more join us. That would make our 8, which is always a goal for all Toastmaster groups, so that they would be right on target to get 10 out of 10 of their distinguished points. So we urgently need you there. Come and join us. On that note, I shall return control to our Toastmaster, none other than Dave Wilkins.
Well, thank you, Tom. Interesting topic session, and thank you all for presenting your speeches tonight. I'd like to invite you to the Bearfield Toastmasters. It's the best club on the south side of Fort Wayne. They meet at the Waynedale Library on Lower Huntington Road, just about a block and a half from Bluffton Road. And we meet every Tuesday night, 6:30 to 8 p.m. We are more than welcome. We're a little group, so you won't be surrounded by a whole bunch of people if you come, but you can learn and grow and be comfortable in a setting where it's a nice place there at the library. Well, now how did we do tonight? All we have to do now is find out from our general evaluator who has done what, and let's hear from her now, Patricia Kanabe.
All I need is a jaunty hat to go with it, right? A little, yes, animal skin hat. The evaluation portion of every meeting is a way for us to grow as Toastmasters. It is a way for us to learn what we're doing well, what we can improve upon, and any tips or tricks that our evaluator might have for us. Before I introduce the evaluators this evening, I would like to invite you to the American Red Cross Toastmasters Club. We are open to the public. We meet at the Red Cross every Tuesday at noon, and we have a great time. Please come join us. We have 3 evaluators for each of the corresponding speeches. I would like to invite Dan Westrick to the lectern to evaluate Marlene Purdy.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. This is not a light task when evaluating great speakers. And none are more... There's a word that I want to try to say, but I can't really say it. Marlene is one of those superstars when it comes to speaking. And to learn that she joined for purpose of trying to get her message out a lot better. Her speech tonight, do you have what it takes? I certainly have what it takes. I mean, if people know me, I've been on many speech teams at Elmhurst and at IPFW, so I know what it takes. You did an excellent job all across the board. And one of the things you did, some people had this perception that Toastmasters is just to help you improve speaking. No, it helps with leadership and communication. And that's one of the things you really did great, was promoting other aspects of Toastmasters. You had a lot of good gestures. The one you really want to watch out for is this, clearing your nose. That sometimes, is a little bit distracting. So just watch the gestures. Your gestures were good, but I wouldn't try to put your hands, say, this would be the line demarcation, if you will. So if you keep it underneath here, you're good. So that's my evaluation, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Dan. I would like to invite Marlene Purdy to the lectern to evaluate Adrian Mauer's speech. Marlene.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Adrian. Inspire your audience. And the purpose of the speech was to inspire the audience to improve personally, emotionally, professionally, or spiritually, relying heavily on emotional appeal. I loved the story about going to Paris. I love to travel, so I was listening especially because of that. But then you made it very, very personal about crying on the way to Chicago, and we could actually feel how petrified you were. And yet, you move forward. And then when were given the second situation, another job situation where you move forward. So you showed us how in spite of being scared out of your wits, you persevered, and as a result, you became very, very successful in your career. And it gave us the feeling that that's what we need to do. You did all the techniques. The body language, it was limited, but then there was a place on it where you talked about the confident speakers, and you used gestures through there. But I know we're limited on gestures because of the time frame or the space. But I picked up a couple of words that when you talked about being a terrible listener and cried all the way to Chicago, those were very, very vivid word pictures that were excellent. Good job.
Thank you, Marlene. Last but certainly not least is Adrienne Maurer, and she is going to evaluate Dan Westrick's speech. Adrienne.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests at home, and especially Dan. Dan, that was a very interesting speech, and I like the way that you developed the story. You found really good examples of places where there might be a need for censorship. And I like all the different kinds of censorship examples and beeps and sounds that you found on your phone. I thought that was a good way to give us a little bit of a variety. Speaking of variety, you have excellent vocal variety. I've seen you speak before, and you're very enthusiastic, and I think that makes it much more entertaining for us. Something that I would recommend for when you do this speech at the contest, you started off with saying, did everybody watch VMA? And I had to think for a second what VMA is. So your audience may not all know what that means. You may want to spell it out. Whatever, Video Music Awards. Yeah, you may want to spell that out as part of your presentation and not just use abbreviations. And I wasn't quite sure the purpose of the video and the statement that you read, and it went through a little quickly. I don't know if it's a disclaimer that you have to read because you've used some famous celebrity's music on your phone. And I was guessing that's what that was for. So maybe explain why you're having to read this disclaimer statement. I loved the way that you ended it all with a message, that we've listened to all these opportunities of shows where there's a need for censorship, but then at the end, you brought it all together and said, you don't really need to use bad words. And so you ended it with a nice message for us to remember. And good luck at the contest, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Adrienne. I would like to have Dan come up and give us our timers report.
All right, I'll go ahead and do this quickly. Marlene asked for 5 to 7 minutes on her speech. She came in at 5:53. Adrienne, you requested 8 to 10. You came in at 9:22. We were not able to get a time on my speech. We'll check the videotape later on. As far as evaluations, I went a minute 46. Marlene went a minute 32. Adrienne went a minute 42. Madam General Evaluator. As soon as I get my tongue untied.
Thank you, Dan. At this point, I'm going to return control to our Toastmaster, Dave Wilkins.
Thank you, Patricia, and thank you, one and all, for being here tonight. This has been a very good hour. I think we've just done a wonderful job. I want to say some thank yous. We have Otto Boucher as the technical director. Our audio technician tonight has been Dennis Osborne, who has been such a dear man coming in here and helping us with this all the time. Robert Boyd, Jim Mount, and Megan Kruger have all been running cameras. Thank each and every one of you for doing a super duper job. It's also nice to thank the library and Access Fort Wayne for our time here doing the show once a month. Next month, the show will be on something like October 6th, And our next parliamentary meeting, which we didn't even have a chance to talk about tonight, will be on September 21st here in the library, in the Globe Room. And that night, we may have a visit from Henry Robert. He should be there, so that would be a fun time to come and visit him. We didn't do very much parliamentary procedure, but we sure talked about leadership. Thank you for coming from all of your Toastmaster clubs. I think we have just a little bit of time. Do you want to say good night to the world here, Adrian, tonight?
Area contest, September 12th, at the library, 9:30.
All right. And Patricia, final thoughts?
The fall conference is coming up. It's the first weekend in November. I almost said October. First weekend in November. We are going to have the festivities at Don Hall's Guest House. Please join us.
Thank you, thank you. And Tom?
Yes, by all means, come and join the Anthony Wayne Toastmasters so we can push it over the top and be done with it.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. And over here, Dan?
Well, I thank everybody for tonight's program. And again, if you want to join the Bob Lyman Toastmasters Club, we meet every second and fourth Monday at North Crest Pizza Hut. We start at 6:30 with speeches starting at 7.
Okay. Now, Marlene?
I'm there too.
You're there too? Okay. Well, thank you, one and all. Remember, the Bearfield Toastmasters is now meeting in Waynedale at the Waynedale Public Library there on Lower Huntington Road, just a block east of the Bluffton Road. So we'll see you next time. Until next time, may all your meetings be fair and efficient, and good night.